lot of ideas and best practices. There's much being written about it now by many of the participants, so that's another way of learning. But they can also learn by doing and getting advice and getting input. So I think there will be best practices that every region can get. But the question sort of suggests a view that the dissimilarities may be greater than the similarities. And I think what our cities are showing and what they're learning is a flood is a flood, no matter where it came from, whether it was a coast or a river delta or a rainstorm. And so your region may be more vulnerable to one of those three than another. But the way you build resilience to anticipate and then rebound from it may be dramatically the same. And I think that's what's been so exciting.
That's really interesting. We have a question all the way from DR Congo. What comes next after this third group of cities is chosen? Are there other opportunities for cities who weren't chosen to be part of the broader resilience community and movement? How can cities and regions that aren't officially participating actually get involved in their own communities?
Well, one of the things we've seen is how generous and inclusive the CROs and the cities are when they go through their own process. So many of the ones that we've gone to that are created in convenings have invited other cities in their country, have invited national leaders. And we see this over and over again, that the CROs and the cities that are instead of wanting to prevent others from learning and sort of keep this an exclusive club, are eager to share what they know and do that very actively in seeking out other cities.
That's really exciting. A question we got from several commenters on our Facebook page was around how social cohesion comes into play. I think a lot of people, when they think of resilience, maybe emergency management or disaster preparedness comes to mind first. And a lot of people that we asked in our digital community wanted to know how important is it to focus on social cohesion? What specifically are cities doing around to encourage that as part of their strategies?
Focusing on social cohesion, what we call social infrastructure, is really critical. You think about the three kinds of infrastructure that make a city resilient: the natural and built environment, the economic infrastructure, and the social infrastructure. And I think we heard many of the mayors say today that if you don't address all three, and if you don't focus on the social infrastructure, you really are not allowing your city to fully develop as a resilient city. Some of the poorest and most vulnerable people live in the most vulnerable places in a city. So even when you're focusing on the physical built environment, if you take it through a resilience lens, and social resilience is a critical part of your analysis, you're going to think about how you build differently in that area when you're building your natural infrastructure. We, for example, in a very early city in which we were working, demonstrated that all of the economic development that they were doing was leading to flooding back into the poorest regions in the city. They bravely stopped a huge economic development opportunity with a lot of foreign investment because they wanted to actually reanalyze social and economic and physical together in a more integrated resilience strategy. So I think there are pieces of each. It's the integration in a way that's the secret sauce.
That's exciting. I think we have time for one final question. A lot of people in our audience were really interested in better understanding obviously what comes next. We've reached 100. We're at a critical time, it seems, as part of this organization. A wave of cities is introducing strategies. A whole handful are implementing them and actually translating strategies into projects and work on the ground. And then we have a number of cities who are now finally joining us on this journey. So I guess I'm curious to know how is this going to evolve? How are we going to make sure that all of the cities that we're bringing in now in 10, 15 years are becoming more resilient? And how can we make sure that this isn't a 2 or 3 year project, but a much longer effort that not only we take on as an organization, but are moving into cities so that they can take on independently as well.
Well, I'd say our future vision, our aspiration is several years from now, there'll be hundreds of cities. There'll be thousands of platform partners offering goods and services and technical expertise to the city. And there'll be billions of dollars being spent on building resilience around the world. That's success.
That's great. Well, I think we really appreciate all of the thoughts and certainly the interest from folks in our community. I think it's been really encouraging to see all of the input and feedback from people around the world. So we'll make sure that we keep the momentum going and make sure we take this work into cities around the world.
Well, we love the interest on Facebook, and so give us your ideas, give us your thoughts, keep telling us, because we don't own all the answers around innovation in this space, so let's hear from you.